Who's ready to get a little crazy? And that's when his full-time comedy career took off. So welcome to the stage, my friend, John Morgan.
I love you so much. The good God Almighty. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kurt Chastain, one of the original founders of what we call this event of the Men's Health Summit. Give him a big hand. To the gentlemen four of them at one time, and then it went down to three of them, and they kept this running since, 2002, huh? Yeah. And now Pennington Biomedical has taken it over, and they've got some big shoes to fill. They got big shoes to fill in a multitudes of ways. One, you got to learn how to put on a men's health group. You got to learn how it's marketed. You got to learn who your target audiences are. But then again, who do we know what a target audience is of what we're going to decide a man's going to do with his life, especially with his health? Let's get this started first. I'm born and raised in New Orleans. I'm 60 years old. I've been married for 31 years. I've been with the same woman for 34. Sleeping with that same girl for 34 years. I have 3 children, of which I raised tough. I was raised by a World War II father. Anybody else? Raise your hand. Put your hand down. Those of you who weren't, too bad. We were the lucky ones to be raised by that authority, that strength of a man. When men were men, no matter what the chromosomes were, we didn't even have that argument. You never said anything back to my father. He'd tear your ass up. My father didn't come back from World War II on the island of Iwo Jima with PDI QS11 minus R-617B11. He came back straight retarded. His therapy was to whoop our ass. He'd be in the middle of whooping your ass, and we'd be like, I'm not the Japanese. What's that, a little too soon? My mother was a little French Cajun woman. Now, when I travel around the country, we can't say this. But as long as we're in South Louisiana, we understand what the true meaning behind it really is. My mother was a little coon-ass about that high. They're trying to take that term away from us, saying it's derogatory. I've been a coon-ass my whole life. I'll be a coon-ass when I was born, and I'll be a coon-ass when I die. People don't understand the word came from the Daniel Boone hat. You think Daniel Boone was the first one to wear a coon with a tail hanging off the back? Don't be ignorant. Know your history. My mother was an amazing woman, breastfed 9 children, she did. I'm the last of 9 children. Mal, Debbie, Stevie, Dolores, Donna, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. No, we were Jewish. That's not true. Of course we were Catholic. People say, you must love kids. He say, nope, I like sleeping with her. They just pop out. My mother breastfed 9 children. I was the last one to suckle up. She didn't even have to pick me up to breastfeed. She just... See, the truth of the matter is from whence we came is important. And to be able to have a perspective of who you are and where you came from and be able to smile and love and laugh at that life is important for health in your mental state later on. Be proud of who you are and from whence you come, no matter what it is. Gentlemen, I must tell you, in this room today, there's doctors that sit in this room. There are mechanics, there are truck drivers, there are teachers, there's all forms. Shut that door for me, ma'am. I don't mind people not coming in, but if you can have a conversation out that door while I'm speaking, you got another thing coming. Thank you so very much. I have 3 children that I raised the same. You're going to respect your mother as long as I can breathe. And whether your mother and I are together or your mother and I are apart, you're going to respect your mother. Because I'm going to raise men. Do you understand that? I'm going to raise men. I'm going to raise men that one day may marry one of your precious gifts called a daughter. And if we don't raise men to be men, then we're going to wound up having some suckling taking care of your daughter because some parents kept him on suckling too long. We got children who stay with their parents forever, not mine. I want to make love to your mother in every room of the house again. And y'all are interfering with that. I'd like to get naked in the utility room and walk to the bedroom buck naked. But I can't. Well, I do, but they don't like it. I say move out. My oldest boy is a hunter and a fisherman. That's all he loves to do is hunt and fish. I've never hunted a day in my life. I do not own a gun, never shot a gun before. My wife is a CSI detective. She got one here, here, and here. People say, you've been married for 31 years. What do you attribute it to? Well, I shut the hell up. That's what I do. What's she going to do? I'm going to say something stupid. She shoot me in the back of the head? Who's going to investigate the crime scene? She is. Suicide. Really? Really? I don't know one individual that said, I've had enough of this. My middle son, the middle son. Oh, good God Almighty, the middle son. People say the middle child syndrome. I don't believe in no syndrome. I just believe the middle child learned from the oldest child what to do and what not to do and how to get away with it better. I can't stand that kid. Let me explain something to you, ladies and gentlemen, or should I say just gentlemen. There is a lady in the room, two of them by the fact. But the matter is this. I love my children, but I love them all differently. If you say you love your children the same, I'll call you a liar to your face. You love them differently depending on what child and what day it is. The child you love today is the child you will choke tomorrow. And the one you want to choke tomorrow is the one that'll save your ass on Saturday. But this middle one, I'd choke him till he got a thyroid problem, I swear to you. Screams out in the middle of a room, hey, Pop, did y'all blow bubbles when you were a kid? I say, yeah, sure did. Well, he's back in town. He wants to talk to you. Are you kidding me? This is the one that aggravates the ever-living hell out of me. He just graduated from LSU like his older brother. His older brother graduated from LSU and now a welder. People say, well, if he was going to weld, why did you send him to college? Ladies and gentlemen, I didn't send my children to college to get a job. I sent my children to college to get an education. That boy decides to take that welding hat off, I want him to have a conversation that is equal to no man on any subject. The middle one graduated from college and he's moving on. I have my third child, of which I wish I could understand. I wish I could talk with authority like I do my two boys. I raise those boys very simply. You do as I say, not as I do. When you can support yourself, you can do whatever you want to do. But if you live in my home, you will do as I say. See, as men, we stopped raising our children that way because society told us that wasn't the thing to do. The first step in losing what we call manhood. Don't forget that. But the last one I am lost to, I will not lie. Of course, it's a girl. I got her in my life when she was 8 months old. My daughter is adopted. She's now turning 21. She's attending LSU. She's adopted from mainland China. She steals me. If she cries, I lose my mind. You'd have to see a little girl from Asia cry. It'll break your heart. The water just pours out. They don't have bottom eyelids. It's okay, you can laugh, ladies and gentlemen. I paid for her. People tell me all the time, what would you do without that little girl? Well, honestly, I don't know. I don't know. She's everything to me. And she's brilliant. Do you understand? Brilliant. Had I known then what I know now, I wouldn't even have them 2 white boys. I'd have 3 Chinese daughters. People ask me stupid questions about her. Well, are you going to tell her she's adopted? Shh, no, we ain't saying nothing. I think the first time she looked in the mirror, she realized one of these things is not like the other. Why did you adopt Chinese? That's very simple. I adopted Chinese because I brought them 2 white boys into this world. I know what their GPA is going to be. If you didn't understand that one, you're going to have some ignorant ass children. That's what you're going to have. See, because the truth of the matter is that this little girl is dedicated to one, her studies, and two, herself. I want my daughters to be raised where they rely on no man. Am I clear on this? We are not raising men to do what they're supposed to do. Do you think I want my daughter to rely on something this modern generation has raised? You got another thing coming. I'll choke your son. I'll choke him in front of you. Amen. That's a brother back there. That's a brother. Amen. See, the truth of the matter is who we are and what we are is determined by what we bring into this world. What brought us into this world and what we bring into this world. Being married for 30-something years, I'm not going anywhere. I'm a 60-year-old man. I know what I look like naked. Ain't nobody else looking at this. I got man boobs. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the only one in here with man boobs. I'm looking at some C's and D's right now. But the truth of the matter is, no matter what I look like, I'ma still roll with it. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm the only one that tells myself I look good. I'll be in the mirror going, you look good. You know why? Because I have to establish it first. If I don't believe it myself, how can I have anyone else even begin to believe that I look good? And after 31 years of marriage, there's a deep breath in everything in life, a very deep breath. You hope that your children grow strong. You hope your relationship stays together. You hope your love life moves forward. Things we used to be able to do, we can't do anymore. I tried to outlast my wife in lovemaking one time. Anybody ever did that? Raise your hand. I'm the only one. Okay. I did. I came to bed, had clean underwear on, cologne, trimmed up. I was ready. By the time 2 minutes went by, I was sweating, had stomach cramps, and the Charlie horse had me on lockdown. When I finally rolled out of bed, because I fell out, no big deal, it's happened before. Tuck and roll, I wound up in front of the mirror. When I did, I looked at myself, and I was in the middle of the big O. And when I did, I thought I saw the cowardly lion looking right back at me. Just Now here we are gathered today. And we gathered today so that we can understand each other on this thing called men's health. Gentlemen, I'm not a physician. If you told me something hurt you, I'd point you in the direction of the nearest medical facility. I have no knowledge of what it means to cure a cold, what it means to go through cancer, what it means to even fix a broken bone. But I'm clear enough on who we are as men. I want you to listen to something because we're going to end with this also. At what point do we regain ourselves as men and live by these words? It's a verse, a Bible verse. It was used to describe the great thoroughbred secretariat. He does not fear the sword, nor can he stand idly by at the sound of the trumpet. Which one of us in our own right can sit in our bodies and begin to even think that we do not fear the sword? Don't let your pride lead you into that yes, because you'll be mistaken. I do not fear the sword, nor can I stand idle at the sound of the trumpet. If one of you gentlemen ever saw one of your kids being hurt, raise your hand if you'd immediately jump into action. Put your hand down. Why can't we have that same immediate action going in to take care of our own bodies, that we might be that protector for longer than the thought process of not going to check on ourselves at all? Where do we begin to have that strength? Where? You see, gentlemen, our role as men is being dwindled by individuals who have never understood manhood to begin with. Amen. We are being slowly chipped away. Chipped away. Our masculinity is being chipped away slowly, oh so constant. And we idly, even though the trumpet is blowing, we idly sit and let it happen. Some of us are too old to make a change. This is Greek to you. Some of us are too young to even understand from whence we come and where we are now. I'm under the belief that there are 4 areas in which we as men need to regain who we are. Physically, as we grow older, we start to develop this little belly. And as we look at it, we do nothing about it. We'll say, well, it ain't bad yet. And then next thing you know, we look at it again a couple of years later, and we go, "Ooh, Lord, have mercy." And then we realize, Lord, I can't even get my shoes on. Or I try to hold one leg up so I can put some soap on this foot and realize my equilibrium with the belly and the testicles that should have been cut off when they cut me. I mean, if I got cut, why didn't you take the testicles? They ain't good anymore. All I need is shaft. Let's move forward. Physically, mentally, sexually, and spiritually. These are all societal's idea of changing who we are as men and want us to follow their definition of what we know is in fact not right. Let's start breaking them down. Physically, we place ourselves last when it comes to taking care of physical. How many of you would encourage your wife, your lover, your partner? How many would you encourage your lover? Please go get that checked. How many would you do that? How many would you encourage your partner? So those of you who didn't raise your hand, you want your partner to drop dead right now. So then I ask you to participate. How many of you would encourage your partner to go and seek help no matter what it is? Raise your hand. That's what I'm talking about. You see, the same enthusiasm that you have in anything else, you have when it comes to the one you love. Why? Why? Because you can't do without them. I cannot, as a man, do without the one I love. I tell God all the time, please, I beg of you, take me first. Because if you take her first, this family is screwed. I don't know how to pay one damn bill. My kids would be like, the cable TV don't work anymore. I say, well, it must be broken. Well, I think the bill needs to be paid. I say, well, pay it. Because the truth of the matter is, I do not know. Now, sometimes when I say that, I have men come up to me and say, oh, I would never turn my money over to a woman. Well, you, my friend, have the wrong woman. Because the woman I got, I ask for money. I am a humble child going, girl, I really want that weed eater. I want that weed eater, boo. I'm tired of pulling this one 500 times to get it started. I want that free-flowing weed eater too. I don't want that curved shaft. I don't want that pepperoni or whatever disease that is, the pepperoni. I want that straight shaft. I trust that woman, and I would encourage her to go and take care of yourself. Babe, your energy's down. You don't look good. Please go take care of yourself. Please, let's make an appointment, find out what's happening. Because then I soak in my own sorrow and say to myself, holy, what would I do without her? I don't need to say that to some of you gentlemen. Sadly to say, you've already experienced what it's like to be without your partner and the one you love. I could not fathom that feeling. I can sympathize all day long, but I cannot empathize. Our children, we send them off right away. Right away, we send them. Not my dad. My dad would take duct tape and tell you don't need stitches, and he'd duct tape it. We'd send our children to go get checked and immediate. We're like the painter whose house looks like crap, but he makes everybody else's house beautiful. My children all had braces. Only dentist I ever went to was where he tied that thread on my tooth, and my daddy slammed the door and some bitch come flying out. That was our dentist when we were growing up. All my children had braces. I didn't realize how expensive those things really were. If there's a dentist in here, I expect you to buy us all lunch after this. If there's an orthodontist in here, we're going to Ruth's. And none of you Invisalign dudes. I'm talking to a real orthodontist. We would push our kids in a second. How many of you push your parents to go, old and feeble? And you know that if they could just get their stomach regulated or their bowels regulated or their heart regulated, you push your parents to go get taken care of. With all that pushing, we refuse to push ourselves because we believe at some point we are invincible. We will live forever. No, you won't. It's a decision to take care of our physical health, and in the process, letting no one give us any grief that I choose to be checked regular. What is your life worth? Is your self-esteem that low where you choose to say, I'm better off gone? Oh, that's a big joke. Oh, I'm better off dead to my family with all the insurance and the health and blah, blah, blah. No, you're not. A young boy was swimming in the water and the riptide started to take him out. A gentleman jumped into the water. Older gentleman who had courage. Went in, grabbed the young boy and pulled him out. Saved his life. Months later, this little boy caught up with the older gentleman and he said, "Thank you, sir. Thank you for saving my life." And without skipping a beat, the older gentleman looked at the young lad and said, "Son, make it a life worth saving." Is your life worth saving? If it is, I suggest you take the first and initial steps to your physical health. Mental health. Mental health. Boy, that is like a curse word with men. I don't need mental health. I'm a man. Well, that's why you're aggravated. That's why you're on your 5th marriage. That's why your kids think you're a jackass. That's why you can't hold down a job. That's why the people who you work with don't even like working with you, because you haven't figured out what it is to regulate your brain, to be in control of your brain. Because society tells me if you're a man and you go get physical health or mental health, you are a weak man. I'm here to tell you clearly, very clearly, strength comes to those who seek help. It is honest to say, I am overwhelmed. I need a sounding board. I need the ability of working through things better than what I am doing now. your mental health is just as important as your physical health. Because if your mental health is not in check, you will never decide to get your physical health in order. And in the process, society tells us, no. It's a sign of weakness. See, mental health is an isolated pain. You're by yourself. And it is a state of mind. A state of mind. At what point do I choose to take care of something? What's our outlook on life? I heard a story recently. This gentleman's at work, and he's miserable. He's having a bad day. Things aren't going his way. Things just aren't clicking. He's driving home from work, and on his way home from work, he sees this little ball game, this little junior ball game going on. Baseball. So he pulls over and says, I'm going to let my mind rest a little bit, and I'm going to go and watch this ball game. Not too many people there. He walked up to the fence. He was down there by the dugout. And there's a little catcher, little bitty fella, little hat coming past his ears, holding them open. $1.45 wet with a brick in his pocket. Happy as hell. Scores 14 zip. He's down 14 points. And he's happy. Running after the ball, catching it, throwing it. He's so happy. And this guy can't get it. He looks to the young lad and he says, son, you're down 14 points, but you look pretty happy. The little boy turned to him and he says, yeah, we haven't been up to bat yet. He had his own agenda. He had his own measuring stick. He had his own insight to what made him happy. And it wasn't that he didn't have any points. It was that he hadn't had a chance to even bat yet. But he had faith that when I enter that domain of the batter's box, I will have my chance. How do you feel about your chance? It's isolating to be in pain mentally. I have fallen to my knees alone. As a man, I have fallen to my knees alone and asked myself, how can I ever rectify this in my life? Whether it be a relationship with my wife, whether it be the difficulties with my children, whether it be 3 of their automobiles, all needing something at the same time. And I have not enough funds to do it. But when I regain myself, my options are wide open. Take your mental health seriously. Sexual health. Well, sexual health. What's healthy? If it'd be up to men, it'd be every 5 minutes. Well, as we grow older, we try to set a date like Tuesdays. First of all, when it comes to sexual health, you better be real about yourself. You ain't that attractive boy anymore, you big-bellied, titty-hanging thing, you. With your body that's wrinkling and your face that's collapsing Your testicle sack looked like a gunny sack with 8 pigs in it. But yet you want her to be magnificent. You want her to be the starlet while your ass is falling apart. First thing when it comes to sexual health is you better be real about yourself. Go to the mirror and look at yourself and see what that man has to say. For it isn't your mother, a sister, a lover whose judgment you have to pass. The verdict that counts most in your life is the one staring back from the glass. Be real of who you are as a man, and be real about what you contribute to that sexual relationship. I do the best I can. Gentlemen, when I speak to you, everything I say, I'm reiterating in my own mind. For what I am saying to you, I myself must listen to on a normality. I speak to you that I might hear it again. A sexual relationship in all of its glory, whatever that may be. If you're not having some wonderful sex life, you're supposedly weak as a man. You know, if a man has sex, and we've heard this 1,000 times, but you know what? We've heard it so much that it's almost like the things they're trying to convince us in society today. You know what I'm saying? Okay? So we've heard this line so many times, we don't even listen to it. If a man gets sexual pleasure on a normality, he's a stud. If a woman gets sexual pleasure on a normality, she a hoe. Let me explain something to you real clearly. That is not the makeup of humanity and who we are as human beings and our relationships that we want to last forever. Because you're going to wake up one day sadly mistaken and find out you are the only one that loves you. And that's lonely. The only thing you can hope for is Parkinson's. Thank you, Kurt. It's a very vibrating, we'll move forward. I just saw one gentleman in the back going, I got it. You ever have the thought that I'm going to get out of it what I put in it? A preacher and his son were doing traveling preaching, and they went to different churches. And he'd run in, do the sermon. His son would go around past the basket, and then they'd leave and go to the next church. And he'd do the preaching, and the son would pass the basket around, and then they'd leave and they'd go to the next church. They must have did 8 churches. They're riding home. Preacher looks at his son and he said, what we got, boy? Little boy looked up at his daddy and he said, well, Pop, we got $12.84. He said, do what? We did 8 churches. He said, yep, $12.84. He said, I don't understand. He said, Papa? What, son? He said, remember in that second sermon? You said life is made up of what you put into it. And whatever you put into it, that's what you're going to get out of it. Yeah, well, your sermons were pretty short. We don't make love anymore like we used to. What do you want? She saw them skid marks in your underwear. She does the laundry. You think you would turn on to her? What are you putting into the relationship? What are you coming in there with? You ain't trimmed up since Reagan was in office. Look like Sasquatch caught in a headlock. What do you bring to that relationship that would warrant her wanting to give her body to you? I'm going to say something and I'm going to overstep the bounds. You okay with that? I'm going to say something, I'm going to overstep the bounds. You okay with that? Good. We enter. She is entered. You better be real when you roll in there. Oral sex is out of my marriage. Well, have you seen yourself lately? Have you seen them underwear you come to bed with? Have you seen that outfit? She sees you every day. Those of you who are having a difficult time with this, you're also having a difficult time with your relationship. And so the truth gets into your heart and you feel, oh, he's just wrong. No, sir, you're looking in the mirror. So I suggest we all understand this when it comes to our sexual relationships. We are going to get out of it what we put into it. And if you think that quantity is better than quality, you are sadly mistaken. A wonderful speaker on sexual health said, and I quote, in front of a group of men just like this, but they had much more advertisement, so it was a full room. And they said, Judge, leave it alone, Judge, leave it alone. They said, and I quote, he said, there is endorphins, there is chemistry within our body that are released in lovemaking, and you become a better partner. You become more easy to deal with. And do you know, I honestly know that? Because if I make love with my wife, that next day I'm cooking. I'm like, you my boo. But if we ain't made love in a week, I'm like, I ain't cooking nothing. I deserve better than that. No, I don't deserve a thing. I earn that right. But this guy had this belief, and I could understand, that the more lovemaking we had, the better off we would be. And our disposition and our energy and our life would be so much more perfect. And so he asked the group of men, he said, how many of you make love every day? And they went, yeah. Wow, this is going good, just what I thought. How many of you make, pardon me, love once a week? Yeah. A little less, but good. How many of you make love once a month? Fact, I am right. How many of you make love once a year? One guy in the back. Black gentleman, retired judge. No, I'm just kidding, Judge. I'm just kidding, Judge. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Judge. I'm just kidding. But that was good, though. That was good, though. You got me? That was good. One guy in the back of the room who makes love once a year. Yeah. He was like, good God, this guy is destroying my whole thought process, my thesis, my doctrine. He's ruining it. Once a year, huh, sir? Yes. And you're happy? Yes. He said, why are you so happy? He said, cuz I just checked and tonight's the night. I know